1 between two incredibly talented players. Let's get straight to it.
Well, down in the bottom left position, JoRoSaR, we have got the red Zerg player who was just facing up against Naniwa, actually.
He was indeed.
Where he won.
He did.
2-1. It is from Team Evil Geniuses. It's Suppy. And his opponent spawning up in the top left position, the blue Protoss player from Team lgim. It's Squirtle.
This is definitely going to be a PvZ to remember, man. Suppy, Squirtle, and Suppy just coming off the back of a win against Naniwa as well.
We are aware of a quick sound issue. We're going to fix that quickly, guys.
Alright. Not really sure what's going on. I've just muted unmuted, but hopefully the levels are okay now. Do let us know. Thank you very much, chat, for letting us know that. But Suppy, off the back of an incredible victory, ZVP, getting that first win 2-1 against Naniwa as well. Very, very nicely played, but he's going up against arguably one of the best Protosses in the world here. I mean, technically 2 in a row, really. But Squirtle has, well, I mean, he has quite a reputation behind him, Metals.
He does, and the thing is, he's one of those people who is just really, really solid, really consistent, and it's going to be a real struggle for Suppy to take a game off. But I watched the games of Suppy versus Naniwa during our break, and actually, Suppy was looking really solid. He had a variety of strategies going up against Naniwa, and he was playing really well. So I think this game isn't a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Squirtle winning it, but
no, definitely not.
Suppy's got to play his top.
Well, the thing is, Suppy is close to playing at his top right now, especially having the mental momentum, I think, is going to be really important in this game against Squirtle. I know we've said it already, but I do honestly think that that win he had just now is going to really encourage him to sort of keep that up. And the fact that he's playing a player of the same race as well just makes it even better. Squirtle, on the other hand, though, I mean, we'll see what he ends up doing later on. Right now, sort of gateway opening, we see double gas with 2 probes in each, everything looking very, very normal from the Protoss point of view. And in the meantime, Suppy rather, he's now going to be sending a couple links out. No, he's only made 2 links. He's not that afraid of super early pressure on this map, simply because of how large it is and how long it's going to take his opponent to scout him.
Now, one thing I do want to point out is that actually this group and how things stand at the moment, of course, Suppy beating Naniwa and Night End actually winning up against Squirtle.
Oh wow, that is huge.
Yeah.
Night End, congratulations to him.
That means Suppy and Night End are now currently tied first in the group after the first game. So
yeah.
This is actually now going to become an incredibly interesting group, and we could actually end up in a situation where they all kill each other.
Oh no, and you mean we have to have ties and more games between 4 fabulous players? What a shame.
I know, that's tragic really, but of course that's speculation.
Well done to Night End though, because
Yeah.
it had to be said, of all the matches in this particular group today, everyone was expecting Night End to lose to Squirtle first. I want to point that out. Like, the difference in skill between them, I think, is a lot less than people think. I reckon Squirtle's probably still the better player, but that doesn't mean Night End can't take a series of him like he did today. So it's really, really cool to see Night End buck the trend a little bit and make a bit of a name for himself here. I think he's doing tremendously well, and I hope he keeps this up.
It's going to be, well, potentially a really good run for Night End, so we'll wait to
Yeah.
see what he does later
It's
on.
going to be great.
But for the moment, this game, we've got Zergling Speed coming down for Suppy, and he hasn't actually pulled drones out of gas there, so he is just still going along perfectly normally, which is absolutely fine. His third is going to be slightly delayed, but he doesn't need to rush it out, because Squirtle did go for that gateway expansion as opposed to Nexus first or Forge fast expand. He's going to be following that up with 3 additional gateways. Delayed 4-gate pressure is always a strong possibility. You can also add a robotics facility in there. Also from these spawn positions, he could look to put a Stargate down at the very south of his main base. It would be a nice position, but Squirtle hasn't yet scouted out. He's also got a probe hidden down. Oh, hidden probes.
Yeah, probes are very imbalanced units because they can produce pylons, and pylons can produce Protoss units. So following that train of logic there, it looks like Squirtle has something rather devious planned for Suppy here. Sentry's going to be barbecuing that Zergling on the ramp. And of course, Squirtle, even though he hasn't scouted the base yet, knows exactly where Suppy is due to process of elimination. So we should be seeing this little fella here put down a pylon at some point soon, or just run away from a Zergling that barely doesn't see him. That was so close there. Very, very close. A couple links now going to be poking in, and well, Suppy walked straight past the probe, not quite within attacking distance, and Squirtle's able to get that pylon down. That could end up being very, very huge later.
It can be really frustrating too, because what's really Squirtle's aiming to do is just a bit of 4-gate pressure, which is not an all-in, but it's something that is definitely going to be quite frustrating. And that pylon, that is a pretty close proxy pylon, I'd say, towards the third.
Yep, and the first proxy pylon is going to be scouted now, and these Lings actually going to spot the second one. First going after the probe, which is very, very smart, and now trying to go after the stalker, seeing if he can get us around. Actually getting us around on 2 on the ramp here, and all of a sudden Squirtle is looking a little bit dicey in his defense here. Zealot is getting whooped in a lot of sentries. He needs force fields. He needs all of the force fields, and that's actually really darn good. But he has used an awful lot of energy there, trying to target down the pylon, but a warping of Zealots is going to prevent that, and this third base is looking like it might be in a little bit of peril here, Metals.
It could be tough, and that's a really tough situation for Suppy too. If he could get that pylon down, he'd be in a much better shape. But now he's got to try and end this.
No
force fields aren't going to go down yet. The sentries do have a decent amount of energy still, but it's the Zealots that are going to be the big problem.
I'm surprised he didn't actually just force field off this ramp and force him to run the long way around, because I think that would have just allowed the Zealot to kill it off anyway. As doesn't really matter too much though, because the third does actually get cancelled right now. This 4-gate pressure is doing very, very well. I like that he's sending a hallucinated Phoenix over this side of the creep simultaneously to the mothership core going into the main. So that means Suppy is going basically to get scouted more or less everywhere right now, and that hallucinated Phoenix does spot the wall of spine crawlers. So third got cancelled, lots of minerals invested into spine crawlers, a lot of larvae becoming Zerglings as well. I'd say this is going pretty well for Squirtle.
I'd say it's going very well for Squirtle. Anytime you force a Zerg to cancel their third, it's always going to be a nightmare position for them. Behind this Squirtle, he's getting up his robotics facility. Lair on the way down, for just turtling up. He knows that he's in a bit of a problem now, and he can't really break that. But remember, Squirtle's push wasn't an all-in or something. It was just 4 gateways off the 2 bases. Easily able to continue and transition out of that. So he's doing everything he wants, and he's hardly lost anything, actually. And therefore, if he contains his Zerg opponent, he can tech up behind and get himself into a really good spot.
He definitely could. And really, Suppy's in a situation now, he's trying to bait out some force fields, as you can tell, at the ramp. But Squirtle's a really good position, to be honest, where he can do his best to stop a third base from being taken for as long as possible. We see the Zerglings there, a little bit like iron filings on that spine crawler. It looks like now he's decided it's time. The force fields aren't that great, it has to be said. The fallout force fields are okay, reducing the surface area there. And it looks like the Zealots are going to be able to go to town a bit, but there are so many Zerglings. A lot of the units here do get killed off, and both sides are going to back off. Squirtle still technically with the better supply, but look at the health of these units. This push has been drastically reduced here. If those initial set of force fields were much better and the Zerglings could only flow in from the sides, that would have gone a lot better for our Protoss.
The trouble is, though, for Suppy is he still doesn't have that third base up. He's been on equal bases with Squirtle for so long. That's going to be hurting his economy, but he does have Pathogen Gland started. He's going to be getting some Infestors out, which is actually quite nice here. But the concern is the robotics base coming down. Squirtle is teching up happily. He can also look to go and try and start securing his third base in the near future, because he's got near total map dominance. But for the time being, he's just pulling back, and it's just going to reposition his army. Suppy, though, it's always going to be a risk whenever he tries to take that third.
The hive cluster is under attack.
And we have an observer with this army now as well, and that's actually going to be really frustrating because the creep tumors are going to get picked off. We see an overseer popping in towards a Squirtle space, but Suppy, as long as he has enough force fields to sort of hold off this ramp, this is so frustrating because Suppy now also doesn't have map vision around there as well. But the observer has been left here, which amusingly means that the creep tumor that's active actually not getting picked off just yet. And another hallucinated Phoenix going to be popping in, sees absolutely everything, as Squirtle takes the opportunity to go back home and grab third base.
Now, this third base is going to be quite important for Squirtle, because once you get a third base up as a Protoss player, the saying goes, you can do anything you want. And Squirtle has already done so much this game. He's delayed Suppy's third for what seems like an eternity.
Yeah.
And now he's going to go and secure his own third himself. So still Suppy isn't going to get that base ahead that he wants to do. Suppy really could almost look to go for a double expansion. He's got a decent amount of money in the bank. He's starting his hive up. But if he doesn't get his economy to support that, he could be running into some problems in the later stages.
1-1 is complete for Suppy now, but +1 attack is also about to finish. Sorry, +1 attack is finished, but +1 defense is about to finish as well. For Squirtle, a couple links coming in here towards the third base location. They're going to get completely picked up, but the bulk of the army is over here. And it looks like he might be thinking about into the natural. He has other ideas, though. He has to fall back for now, and I like that decision because I'm really not sure Zerglings alone right now, with the army so close to the natural, can do very much for Suppy.
Yeah, he's just trying to delay that third as much as he can, try and prevent Squirtle from moving back out. But if you've got map dominance, you've got to really do something with it. If you've got your opponent turtling up, you need to expand. Especially when you're down on bases, or on equal bases as a Zerg player. And that's what Suppy can't do at the moment, because he's invested a lot into getting the 2-2 melee upgrades down, and also hive. He's trying to run something there.
Well, he's definitely saving up his money for something, because he's going up to 1,000 in minerals and gas count right now, and he has actually started the 4th base, so true to your word, lgim is going to be going for that extra expansion. I can't help but think this could have gone down about a minute earlier, but it probably won't make a horrific difference in this game. What I'm really curious to see now is how lgim uses his hive tech, and it looks like he's going to go straight into the Ultralisk Cavern. The problem for that is that as a Zerg player, you don't want to be 40 supply down on a Protoss. So yes, he'll have Ultralisk out at some point in the next 3 or 4 minutes in decent numbers, but in the meantime, he's so open to an attack from Squirtle. And look at this, our Protoss player is moving on to creep.
And this is the real concern for lgim, is if Squirtle moves across now and actually pushes him before those Ultralisks hit the field, he is not going to be in a comfortable spot. That is the big thing. But if Squirtle delays and waits and gives lgim the chance to get out those Ultras, to get his 4th base up and running, get adrenal glands down too, actually suddenly that army starts looking really quite scary, especially when the Colossus count isn't that high.
Yeah, it's not that high at the moment. Only 2 with this army, but again, against pure Lings, that might be enough at this moment in time. If we take a look, Extended Thermal Lance is actually upgraded on these Colossi as well. So Squirtle will be able to do a lot of damage from afar, but really lgim just wants to buy time until the Ultras come out. Now 5 of them are in production. They take forever and a day to build. 55 seconds must seem like an eternity for the Zerg player right now. He's just hiding away in the corner with these Lings, with these Infestors, and it looks like this small band of Zealots are going to be spotting the 4th base.
And your probes are under attack, JoRoSaR.
Your probes are indeed under attack, but fortunately 3 Zealots versus 3 Zerglings isn't something that you'd have to worry about too much. The Zealots are now going to start working away at this hatchery. I hope he's right-clicked them and they don't run off to attack the Lings. When they come in, they don't. And I think this hatch is going to go down. Yes, very well played there from Squirtle, and lgim once again back down to 3 bases.
Now lgim needs to end this game fairly quickly, but look, Immortal production has got started up by Squirtle. And the reason lgim needs to end this soon is because he's got those Ultralisks out, he's got his Infestors and Adrenal Glands, Chitinous Plating nearly finished up. That's when he's got to start pushing him before the Immortal count gets too high. Because otherwise the Ultralisk will get shut down easily, and lgim losing that 4th means he's on equal bases with Squirtle once more. But
That's a great point.
This is a good little window of opportunity, I feel, for him.
I think there's been a very big ebb and flow in the last couple of minutes of this game. While the Ultras were on their way out, Squirtle had a fantastic time where he could get some damage done. Now that the Ultras are out, lgim is going to have a time where he might be able to get some damage done with 3-3 and those and the Chitinous Plating and Adrenal Glands completing as well. And then a little bit later on, as the Immortal production starts completing for Squirtle, it'll be the Protoss player once again that feels like on paper he'll have the upper hand. So it's a game in the balance right now, and it looks like lgim is trying to make something happen here, which he has to with these Ultras.
Now he's also getting Vipers out. That's brilliant for him, because he's going to have the option to get some great ducks down on the Colossi to really just take them out fast. But there are High Templar on the field, which means feedbacks are always going to be a threat.
Oh, and wow, a preemptive time warp going down there. It looks like some Lings are going to head into this 4th base location simultaneously with the 3rd. These Lings are going to get cleaned up by Zealots, no problem. What about this one? That's going to force the Nexus to cancel absolutely here. By absolutely, I mean no, I'm completely wrong, because it happens to survive with 120 hit points. That was bloody close there. And look at this. Squirtle has the cojones here, ladies and gentlemen, to keep that alive, saying, look, there's under 300 hit points here. You want to come at me, bro? But unfortunately, lgim does have to move back for now. He's waiting for those additional units to finish.
Now, the one thing that is worth noting is upgrade-wise, we do actually have a pretty nice picture looking there for Squirtle. He's got 3-1 done, but 2-2 already finished for lgim. And the trouble for lgim is that his window of opportunity to do a lot of damage could be starting to run out, because Squirtle knows the Ultralisks are there, and he's going to be preparing an army that can deal with it.
300 to 200. I mean, that Nexus is getting lower and lower, but that Ling run by, thanks to the cannons there, doesn't quite kill it off, and Squirrel's going to be pretty thankful for that. And this is a big choke point for the Ultralisk. Is he going to be able to do anything? Great blinding clouds going on there, but the Immortals within melee range of the Ultras doing an incredible amount of damage, and it looks like lgim's going to be pushed back here. Squirtle at 200 supply, lgim at 168 at the moment. A good fungal growth going on the Blink Stalkers, but is it going to be enough? The Ultras are starting to dwindle. There are basically only Queens and Infestors left. They do not tank damage nearly as well, and even though we had some great fungal growth, the ground army behind it not looking like it had the damage. GG, and Squirtle takes the first game.